Hey everyone, my name is Penny Zanker, and it's time to reset. This podcast goes beyond just navigating change. It's about new ways of thinking about how you can approach challenges, how you can shift your mindset when needed, create some space and grace for yourself so that you can rethink, recharge, and reprioritize when and where needed. Are you ready to unlock your full potential? Thank you for hitting play and sharing this next episode with me. It's time to reset. Hello and welcome to Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zanker, and I am so excited to talk about virtual presentations and how we can create more connection regardless of where we are. And I have a wonderful expert and good friend, Kassy LaBorie, with me. She is an expert in this space. She's a professional speaker, author, and the original, and I say that in quotes for those of you who can't see me, the original virtual training hero on a mission to rid the world of boring slides, reading lectures, and passive virtual participants. She's the founder and principal consultant at Kassy LaBorie Consulting, certifying L&D professionals to become virtual trainers, designers, and producers around the globe every single day. So, Kassy, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. And what an excellent read of that kind of tongue twister bio.
I know, right? So let's talk about the original, because people are like, well, because I didn't expand upon that. What makes you the original?
I'm going to say it's time and position. I started doing virtual training in the late 90s. In the 90s, when no one cared about virtual trainings or meetings.
You did.
Pardon?
You did.
I know, I did.
And so why did you?
Well, you know what? I lived in San Francisco. I now live in upstate New York. But at the time, it was a cool Silicon Valley job to have. I was a Microsoft trainer teaching people how to sling Word documents and fill out spreadsheets, if you will. And I was driving down the 101 for anyone in the Bay Area. It's a nice, busy freeway from San Francisco down to San Jose. And I saw a big billboard featuring RuPaul. And it was an ad campaign with WebEx. And it said, "We've got to start meeting like this." And I thought, what do we do? What's the next cool Silicon Valley job that I could have? And I joined WebEx right away as a product trainer. And I got a boa and a beach ball, and the rest is history.
So you could feel that this was a calling for you from the very beginning. I mean, if you saw a billboard and you're like, I got to be there.
Well, you know what it was? I wanted the cool job because at that time in the Silicon Valley, it was a lot of really cool, hot tech jobs. And that one caught my eye because of their creativity with that campaign. So no, I wouldn't say that I knew what the heck I was getting into. Once I got there, though, so it's 1999. You fast forward 2 years, the world changes in terms of how we feel about travel with 9/11. And right. I knew then, wait, this cool job that I have doing this cool stuff with this technology is impacting the world differently today.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we go on with the things that happened with an economic downturn in the mid 2000s. And then, of course, the events and our reaction to it in March of 2020. And when that happened, in March of 2020, our world changes, as we all know. In February of 2020, I had written a speech, and it was called The Virtual Trainer's Guide to Becoming a Hero. And all I did was follow Joseph Campbell's storyline. I thought it'd be just a fun speech to do. I hired a local, here I live in Rochester, New York, and I went to RIT, the Rochester Institute of Technology, and I got a 2D animation student who was graduating because I needed some original artwork, because prior to March of 2020, trying to get any kind of imagery around being in an online meeting was like, you would grab a computer image and then you would put people and you would try to superimpose those people onto the computer. And then you would find a microphone and make your own.
Right.
And I wanted cartoons and things. And we came up with the concept of the hero, and of my hero that I wanted. I named her Virtual Viv, and I had her draw them up for me. I have a couple of heroes and friends and frenemies, and there were also some villains that we had to be. So I did this whole speech in February of 2020. When March of 2020 happens, I have all this great artwork, and I'm like, I'm just going to start using it to encourage people. And I started posting a hero tip a day throughout the early parts of those months, which ultimately led to an ebook that you can still get a hold of today on my website. But then the hero kind of became more part of the brand. And I started using that artwork because I had it and it was helping people have a bit of fun during some rather dark times. Yeah.
Let's dig into, we don't have a lot of attention from people these days, right? So let's dig into what are people, I know that things have shifted, but let's go from where the current state is, right? Because I think there's still some things we're doing wrong that we were doing wrong before and we're still doing wrong, right? We're still having too many meetings. So what do you think are the biggest mistakes that people are making? And let's go from there, like understanding why we're making them and what we do about it.
Yeah, because the mistakes that we're making today are slightly different than the mistakes we were making before everyone went online. Before, it was just like, hey, you could also do this online. It'll be okay. But it was always like an afterthought, or maybe another department in the organization is doing that, not us. I don't want to have to. So that's where all the conversations were before. Where we are today, though, is that we have been online and we know how to use these features, but we're not really using them. And I wholeheartedly believe and have noticed as I coach people and help them to become more effective, that we still approach being online as a less than experience. And what I mean by that is that people still approach a Teams meeting or a Zoom meeting or a WebEx meeting as if it's just this option that we have to do right now because we work remotely now. And if we were in person like we were before, it would be a better experience. But since we're online, let's just do this and get through it. And so then all kinds of things start to happen from there because we have this mindset of, well, if we were in person, it'd be better. But now that we're online, we'll just do this. I'll just lecture through the first part, and then you can have your questions at the end.
Right.
Which we know in person, you need your questions in the beginning and throughout. We don't make you wait till the end.
Well, and just to your point about we'll just do this or going in with this less than mindset is energy is everything. It's what we create. If we go in thinking it's a less than, it's like going into a negotiation thinking you're going to lose.
Right.
You're going to lose, right?
I know. I always have, we have a lot of fun when I'm coaching presenters and trainers and we play with our voices because your voice, arguably your most important tool online, maybe everywhere, but especially here. I go, let's play the role of the presenter who just wants to get out of here. And let's just hear what that sounds like. And it's just so fun.
That's a good exercise.
Hi,
so
everyone.
Today we're talking to Kassy, LaBorie, and she's going to talk to us about virtual training.
I'm going to try to get through this. We have 10 minutes. And so can you see my slide? Great. Let's move forward.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I apologize about my dog. Like, we have to stop apologizing, right? And we're used to it now. Like, I get it. We need to stop those things. So tell us how we can shift that mindset. How do we know? How do you know?
Yeah.
These meetings can be just as interactive, just as connective as if we're in person.
Yeah. I think we need two things, and they form the two main principles or my two main guidelines for myself and what I like to share with people. The first one is to ask yourself, what am I saying or doing that I could let my audience say or do instead?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I just started to embrace that even on stage, right? Well, like as a speaker, like where can you let others fill in the gap, finish this sentence or things like that? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, do I have to do all the saying and the doing? And let's add thinking, Penny. Do I have to do all the thinking for you? Right. Really, what we want to do is just begin the process and then let you say, do, and think for yourself. And how can we bring that to our online environments? What we tend to do online is just want to get it over with. Nobody's listening anyway. They're not on the camera. I have 150 slides. So let me just do it real quick. And the faster I read them, the faster you'll learn them and we'll be done. And so we take this approach for a lot of reasons, which actually is going to lead me to the second principle, because in order to be effective with the first one, because when you're online, if you're letting other people say and do things, they're chatting. They're going into breakout rooms to work in small group activities. They're using the annotation tools. They're using other applications you might combine. And a lot of that is pretty tech heavy. and can be a barrier to entry to the usage of that. And so the second principle that I have is equally as important. So it's just number 2 because we talk about it second, not because it's chronological in any other way. But number 2 is you've got to learn the tech, use the heck out of the tech, and then guess what? Get over the tech.
Get the heck out of the tech. All right.
You got to use the heck out of it, but then get over it. Like, and I always talk about, like, remember when we first got our cell phones? Like for me, that goes back to flip phone days. But I remember getting one and calling my mom and being like, Mom, hi. And she's like, what's up? And I'm like, nothing. I just have a new phone. I don't need anything. Like and she was like, great. That's awesome. And it was just because it was, but we don't do that anymore. It sounds funny because we don't do that anymore. And that's what we need to do with all these digital tools that we use to communicate today. If you're still fussing with it, it's in your way. And if it's in your way, it's a less than experience for you. And it's too nerve-wracking to let your audience or your participants be part of it because you yourself don't know how to be part of it.
So I think what I'm hearing you say also, because that happens a lot, like that we don't prepare enough. So we haven't tested the tech to make sure that it works and that we're ready to go for a meeting. And there's a certain level of professionality that definitely like brings down the session or whatever it is that you're doing when you're fussing with it, right? If you should know exactly what to press, instructions to tell people what to do and all of that, right?
It's a part of your credibility. You have to earn the right to present online by being able to manage the space. And if you think of this is a funny way to think about it. What if a presenter came into a room and we were all in person and they didn't know how to use the stage or the podium, or they didn't know what a chair was for? They didn't understand why people were sitting on them. They didn't know how to be in the space. It seems absurd for me to even bring that up, but let's translate that to online. I don't know how to share to my screen visuals. The chat, don't use it. I'll be distracted by that. I'm the opposite. If you don't use the chat, I'm distracted because you haven't. Because then
Me too. What's wrong? Like, why aren't people engaging here? Hey, pop this into the chat.
Exactly.
There's a balance, right? There's also people who misuse and find that as a forum to get all yappy. And
you have a responsibility. So I'm glad you brought that up because we have a responsibility to take the lead, to step into our role as the presenter, as the facilitator, as the coach, whoever's leading the meeting. We have a responsibility to the audience. And so if things are getting out of control, just as they would in person, you would not let it happen. Yeah. And if you do let it happen, then you're not quite ready to lead. And so
reel it back in.
Yeah, you have to be able to reel it back in. And what a lot of people will do online is 1, they'll invite thousands, and then 2, they'll just disable things because they can't control it. And then I would suggest, well, why do we have thousands here? If you have thousands, why does it need to be live? Why is it not a recorded situation that can be controlled? True. And then rather than disable, why don't we manage? And why don't we set the bar high for how we're going to act and how we can respect one another? And I think that that's a lot to do with letting the audience know that you actually see them and care about them, and that their active participation and their membership in this environment is propelling us forward. It matters that you are here. And when people know that they matter, they do act differently.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
that makes a lot of sense. Like, I didn't think of it in that way, that you disable people, right? They're going to shut down. They're going to turn off. They're going to multitask. They're going to do other things. And if you engage them in a thoughtful way, right, you also don't get that type of thing. I know that one of the things that I do is finish this sentence, right? And that way I get everybody's feedback, but we don't get long paragraphs, right? We get like, give me one word that tells me how you're feeling about this, right? And then we get that simple, clear. And actually, I do that in person too on stage because we just want to get a pulse from people. We don't necessarily, there's a time for discussion, right? And there's a time to check in kind of thing.
They're looking to you for the leadership. I love the quote. I used to work for Dale Carnegie, and I love this quote. I've carried it with me forever. I loved it before I worked there, and I carry it now. People will support a world they help to create.
Oh, is that who said that? I've heard people support what they create, the short version of it. So
Go crazy.
Yes, that sticks with me as well all the time when we think about engagement of any kind, right? Whether it's just online or whether it's the whole caboodle of how somebody shows up in the culture, right? That is,
If I matter, then it will matter.
yeah,
I got to matter
I like
first.
that.
Isn't that nice?
Is that a Kassy? If
That just
I
came out of me. Yeah, thank
say
you.
that again,
That's
say
pretty.
that again. If I matter,
Then it will matter.
then it will matter. I like that.
Nice. Yeah, I went to a training that was to be conducted online, and they were adamant about everyone being on the webcam and being on time, and you can't miss anything. And, it's fine. I read everything ahead of time. I'm a good online ahead of time student. When I got there, they had 117 people there. We were all required to be on camera, and they had disabled all the chat. And then they lectured at us for the first 30 minutes of the session while also managing tech problems and questions about if we're late, what do we do? All of which had been sent to us ahead of time. I unenrolled from the program because I said, why are you making me be on the camera when you cannot see me? I know you cannot see me. And I teach people to be on camera. I get it. I can get on the whole soapbox on webcam, Penny. That's a whole thing. But
yeah.
I can't send chat messages. You want me to sit and look at the camera. And yet I don't feel like I matter here. I feel like you matter. You need to see me on camera, and you need me to not disturb you in the chat, none of which align with my needs.
I love that. Yeah. I love that perspective because it's real. I mean, it's true. And I think that people who are leading these meetings do not understand that. They don't recognize that it's constantly comes back to our need for control and fulfilling our needs and not being in service and seeing what needs everybody else has. So that's
we
really,
need to
really
earn
powerful.
that respect, earn that right, and earn their trust so that we can have an engaging experience. But it's not about me showing up and telling you what to do. Who gets to do that? There's some people in the world who maybe like, tell me what to do, but they've long before earned the right for me to even be open to that, right? Like there's certain people, we've read them and seen them speak, and they've already earned it long before that moment. I'm like, tell me what to do. I'm finally here.
Right,
right. That's not most of us.
So, right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's important too, in that same context, is that it's not that we need to make people feel like they matter once or once in a while. In everything that we do as leaders, that needs to be the guiding principle, right? Is to create that connection so people feel like they matter every single day.
I know. Yeah. That's such an important point. Every day. And it doesn't matter if you're online or in person. And I believe that for me, I know it to be true that working remotely for the last 25 years, working remotely online and in person, but primarily online, it has made me more effective in person because I've had to focus strategically on what I am having you do, because otherwise you will just completely disengage. And if I'm not paying attention to that X in that top right corner is very powerful. And I've got to pay attention to that. And it makes me go, why wasn't I doing this in person? Those people let you get away with things in person because they're there all day. And what else are they going to do? They've already traveled to the site. They've already committed. There's donuts down the hall. And you're probably only going to talk in our moments, and I'll be able to network with these other people in between that time. And I'll forget that I didn't care what you just said or how you said it.
Well, and at the end of the day, I just saw a statistic today. I'm going to butcher it because I saw it very briefly on my scroll by, but that we would save something like 45% of our productivity if we reduced our meetings by something like 35%. I butchered the numbers, but some significant amount of productivity would be gained by reducing a portion. I think it was like a third. If we reduced a third of our meetings, we were going to see twice that in terms of productivity. So
people can only take in so much. Like in L&D and learning and development, before we were all online as much as we are today, we were in this trap of Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, generally speaking, give or take, 5 days, 4 days, 3 days. And what it took to get everybody there, they had to be off the schedule. They had to fly in. They had to travel in. We had to fill the time. Even though brain capacity wasn't going to work, we had to fill it and build in breaks and make sure they had great food. And they weren't going to be able to remember all the things. It had to be an overall experience. And we're still kind of operating from that. Well, we used to have all this content and it was all filler content. We have such an opportunity now when we stop comparing what we did in person to what we are able to do online. I say in the keynote that I am delivering today in this time, if we can get rid of what we did not need in person or what that we were forced to do in person, like being there 8 hours, 5 days. And also let's lose the bad stuff about being online when we were all forced online before we were ready.
Right.
Let's make space for what the future holds. And let's strategically and with intention choose the best mode and the best content and the best moments for each one. Because sometimes we do need to be in person. I mean, I love that togetherness that we can create that comes from human connection. And then we don't need it as much though as we think. There's so much more we can do online. And let's make space for all the cool stuff and just get rid of the bad all the way. We don't need to go back to normal. We get to move forward with intention.
Absolutely. I'm in total agreement. So to wrap this up, is there anything that I didn't ask you yet that you feel is really important to share with the audience?
The only thing, and because you're asking, because we got so much great stuff covered here, thank you, would be just to not be so hard on yourself too. So, I've kind of said a whole lot of things here like you need and this and that. At the same time, we're all doing our best and just give yourself a break. You have an opportunity here to learn some things. One of my favorite ways to learn is to get together with other people and see what they're doing and how they're using the tools. And then I try new things and I try just a few things. I don't do everything all at once. I'm going to be a chat master for the next 4 meetings and be really great at chat. I'm going to use meditation every time for the next 5 meetings. And the next thing you know, I'm good at both of those things. So give yourself a break. You're doing your best and just don't give up.
I like that. Don't do it all at once, right? That goes for the tech and for all of this. And it's so applicable in every area of our lives. I think that we do tend to take on too much. We tend to have a list of things that we need to do that are this big, that it just comes down to focusing on a couple of core things. It's the same thing when you're talking about mastering these online meetings.
It's like what you say, like take a moment to just reset. I'm
the
really
reset moment. I do say that.
Yeah, I'm real good at chat and I'm going to reset. Let it sink in. Okay. I'm on it. I'm on a journey to get really good at annotation. And the next thing you know, you're doing all the things. And if you can get just specific and give yourself that break and take a break throughout, it'll be all right. And another thing I always think about too is that even if I'm really good at all this right now, they're going to add a new feature I haven't even thought of yet. And I'm going to have to learn that thing too. So there's your reality. So just try to have a good time.
And each reset, each pause enables us to think about what worked and what didn't. What can we learn and to apply it? Very often we're not taking a beat to actually reflect on what was working and what didn't so that we can do more of what's working and then work on the things that aren't. So it's unfortunate that's
right. Don't give up too. Like if it didn't work, don't give up.
Yeah.
Like look at the way other people are using it in that moment that you're taking that pause and you're resetting. Maybe it didn't work in the way you tried it, but maybe something else.
Absolutely.
And other people can help, or maybe a new release of the feature, whatever.
Yeah. And you can query people, right, to see that. So you can use even more technology to do that.
With a focus on the human connection side of it. I'm like, tech is cool, but you know what's cooler? People.
Absolutely. I like that. That's a good quote. Tech is cool. People are cooler.
Yeah, they are.
A lot of fantastic nuggets. So where can people find out more about you? We'll have it all in the show notes, but tell us where they can get a hold of you.
You can find me floating around LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. And you can also find me at kassyspeaks.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Penny. It was a pleasure.
And thank you all for being here. This is an important session, right? You think you know it all when it comes to online, or you're done with it, or whatever, wherever you are. There were some bombs in there. And just remember that strategies are cross-contextual. Some of the things that you heard here that are applicable for online are applicable for in-person too. So it's really about how do we connect better? How do we engage at the level of people understanding that they matter? As leaders, we are in service to help people to bring out the best in themselves. And in turn, we bring out the best in ourselves. So with that, Thank you for being here. Thank you, Kassy. And this is Penny Zanker, and this is Take Back Time. We'll see you in the next episode. Take care, everyone. Hey, thank you for spending this time with me. It really means a lot. If you're feeling a little off, distracted, overwhelmed, stuck, or just out of sync, remember that's your signal to reset. And that's all it takes, just recognizing one reset moment at a time. So stay tuned for more tips, tools, tricks, stories, strategies, all here on Time to Reset. We'll see you in the next episode.